The Keswick movement was a holiness movement inside the wider evangelical world. It was associated especially with the Keswick Convention, which was first held in the Lake District in 1875. Keswick was not trying to invent a new gospel, it was trying to answer a pastoral problem. And the problem was this: what do you do with Christians who are converted and sincere, orthodox, and still feel defeated? Maybe they still feel sinful and weak and inwardly battered. Keswick said there is a deeper way to live. It is not sinless perfection in the strict Wesleyan sense, nor is it the total eradication of the sinful nature, but it is a life of surrender, consecration, and what people often called victory. That is why phrases like the higher life and the victorious life became so important. Now, this made sense to a lot of people because Victorian evangelicalism could be very active, very moral, very diligent, and also very exhausting. Keswick offered that interior help as it told believers that holiness was not simply more effort, but it was a yieldedness, it was trust, it was abiding in Christ, it was letting the Spirit do in you what your will could not manage to do by force. And that was attractive, and let's be honest, it still is. And the movement became influential. It shaped conventions and missionary spirituality. It was full of devotional literature, and large sections of 20th century evangelical piety stem from this movement. Now, if you've ever heard a Christian talk about full surrender and deeper consecration or entering into a victory, you may be hearing that long Keswick afterlife. But this is where the criticism comes in, because Keswick could create a two-tier atmosphere: the ordinary Christian, then the victorious one, the struggling believer, and then the surrendered believer who has somehow discovered the secret. And that can become oppression very quickly, because people still sin, people still get tired, and they still grieve, and we all still live in bodies and families and churches that do not obey simple slogans. And once holiness is framed in that language, the Christian who is not winning can start to feel like a second-class case. And that does not mean that Keswick was empty, far from it. It was trying to take sanctification seriously. It was trying to insist that grace changes actual life. It was trying to prevent Christianity from becoming a pardon with no transformation. And that instinct is good. The problem is what happens when the transformation is described too neatly. So what is the Keswick movement? It is an evangelical holiness teaching shaped by the conventions at Keswick. It's stressing surrender, sanctification, and spiritual victory. And it matters today because it addressed the inner life with great seriousness, and it matters also because it's sometimes made the inner life sound cleaner and quicker than it really is. And that is why it remains so interesting today. It is pastoral, it's intense, it's helpful to many, it is damaging to some. Which is to say, it is damaging and helpful like a lot of evangelical history, and it is both a gift and a warning.